Legends rise. Hedgehogs ride. And energy is harnessed.
We're standing on a giant ship, a remnant of an ancient civilization.
Bust a move. It's game time. Still fighting Hordak, it's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
For the honor of Grayskull, welcome to X-Play.
X-Play, if television shows were Girl Scout cookies, we would be Samoas.
Adam and I are very excited about Girl Scout cookie season.
Especially when you consider how much the Girl Scout troops have been doing to bring democracy to Iraq.
No Sunni extremist can go on hating America after he's tasted the shortbread bland-tasm that is a trefoil.
But that's enough celebrating women's paramilitary organizations. We've got games to review.
Today's show is legendary, by which I mean it doesn't exist except in the minds of certain Native American tribes.
She also means we'll be previewing Rise of Legends, a fantasy real-time strategy game for the PC.
And Tales of Legendia, a Japanese RPG about an island that is also a boat.
Yeah, I hear Paul Allen just bought one of those.
Oh, right. And relive the artistic vision of Celebrity Fit Club competitor Young MC as we review Bust a Move.
A game which, by the way, has absolutely nothing to do with the rap hit of the same name.
Plus, we review Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max, bringing the beloved classic characters of 2D fighting to the PSP.
And Sonic Riders resurrects another classic character. We'll review it later in the show.
But first up, we've got a look at the newest offering from the developers of Rise of Nations. Here's our preview of Rise of Legends. Let's look at fantasy's urban sprawl, wheezing, churning, and rising to meet the trembling hands of the strategy fan. Complex knots of militaristic industry composed of metallic sinew and concrete muscle. It's an almost living thing, serving the needs of warriors who forcefully spread their individual culture's vision of enlightenment, or their favorite form of death. It's up to you. Besides, you're what everybody worships around here. Rise of Legends takes up the standard left by predecessor Rise of Nations and waves it over the smoke and fluid-drenched field of intergalactic battle. Starting with nothing never felt so good. With each creation, a new indigenous wonder is revealed. Rise of Legends is a world taken from the mind of Jules Verne or French artist Mobius, rather than any historically generated conflict. Environments express the toil of labor. Two great preoccupations of human thought wage war here, the mind and the body. The body is represented by the Vinci. They're a mechanically minded, industrialized menace, riding obscene, steam-driven hulks. They'll square off against the Alim, a race utilizing interplanetary sorcery to express their mysterious will. The Alim are particularly cunning when you are under siege, as they can place unit creation centers at will, wherever they lay their circular form. Highly visual, explosive fusillades of magic and missile make the title highly appealing to look at. There are many strategic paths throughout a given campaign. Creating developmental skill districts within your city puts you on a particular technological path. This results in improvements that may help or hinder you, depending on your enemy's development. Some buildings can be instantly put to different use. If your lab hasn't produced anything useful in a while, make it into a telescope to spy on your enemies. The local resource everyone kills each other for is called timonium. Is that like Senator Joe Lieberman's Joe-mentum? If so, I hope they're not using it to win any political campaigns. Sheer waves of different beings waging intergalactic jihad will please your thirst for virtual carnage. Artistically appealing environments, ruthlessly imagined weapons, characters, and a general overhaul of the mechanics of strategy puts Rise of Legends on the right path to franchise improvement. Let's see what happens. Look for Rise of Legends sometime in the spring.
Okay, the magical races are cool and all, but they're just not that original.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, they're based on Renaissance Italy and the Mayas and the medieval era. So everyone knows those cultures were great.
So what culture would you like to see a magical race based on?
Belgians. Why can't we celebrate the Belgians?
Because making really good French fries doesn't translate well to making badass real-time strategy units?
Belgians can do more than make fries. Belgians invented the Smurfs in Tintin, and they produced several second-rate surrealists.
I ain't buying it, but Jean-Claude Van Damme would make a hell of a hero unit, kicking alien-ass time cop style.
Speaking of segues, Jean-Claude Van Damme was featured in the film version of Street Fighter back in 1994.
Funny you should mention that, Adam. Don't we have a review of a Street Fighter game coming up?
Why, yes, we do, Morgan. Here's Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max for the PSP.
Hey, remember me? You played me when the circular fruits in your loom were a lunar landscape, when your cereal had more sugar than milk. Before there was Jenna Jameson, there was me. You and I ruled, and we can rule again, anytime, anywhere, with anybody we want. Let's play.
Beat 'em up, guys!
Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max for the PSP brings the awesome might of the street fighting boys, girls, and beasts to bear on Sony's favorite portable. But Adam, I hear you chortle. Is it nadtastic? Is it testicurific? Will it render my romance with internet porn a forgettable indiscretion of youth? No, cherished demographic, it won't.
Face it straight!
Upon game insertion, you'll tear up as if someone tenderly blew a handful of pure Studio 54 disco dust in your face. There's that voice, brimming with overly confident masturbational superlative.
Beat 'em up, guys!
You know what his favorite thing to do is?
Let's party!
You know what his favorite sexual position is?
Face it straight!
That's right. Sure, all your favorite characters are here with all their laughable phrases, their life bars sucking savagery, their fits of mystic sorcery. If you're familiar with the title, the first thing you'll notice is the new control scheme you're gonna have to master in order to operate these bite-sized brawlers. The PSP nubbin feels like you're thumbing the nippular minutia of Granny's mammies. Not the ideal thing to unleash your Street Fighter's more complex moves on now, is it? You're able to choose between fight styles. The ISM system allows you to match your moves to your foes, or not. This dimensionalizes your fighter's routines when confronting other techniques. There's 15 game modes, 37 characters, and a wireless tournament mode. Sangre de Cristo's fight fan. This tiny digital suitcase is packed. Yet, is it enough? Especially when you consider that it is the only game on the disc. We thought the stock control scheme on the PSP made a traditional approach to Street Fighter a mess, and some of the game modes could have truly been kicked to the curb. The sights and sounds of the title are 2020, oh treasurer of great titles past, so if you need to take the street with you, have at it. We give it a 3 out of 5.
Let's party! Go for broke!
That Chun-Li is quite a woman. She delivers a spinning bird kick to my heart.
They sort of crunched on the PSP, but getting to see the Street Fighter gang is like a love letter from 1992.
You're still nursing a crush on E Honda, huh?
They did it all just to get people to take sumo seriously. You may only be an Uzumi, but you're a Yokozuna to me.
That sounded truly beautiful for something that made no sense.
After the break. Interesting RPG combat.
Don't let its mucus touch you. Brought to you by Toyota. Log on for the...
Morgan Webb?
No, who are they? Welcome back to X-Play.
For the past 10 years, the Tales of series has been providing us with games that push the boundaries of RPG fighting,
Unfortunately, the Tales of series has limited itself to fictitious locations.
thus removing the possibility of the Tales of Dayton, Ohio role-playing game so many of us are dying to play.
As well as the Tales of Duck RPG, I personally would give my eye teeth to play.
Sometimes, in my dreams, I am Weber Gale.
But these are simply fantasies. Here's the reality, a review of Tales of Legendia.
Japanese role-playing game. The very phrase conjures up images of legendary battles, majestic stories, and noble, virtuous heroes.
Greetings! I'm Cupo of the Orosorin.
Okay, so much for that. In Tales of Legendia for the PS2, you play as Senel, a brave warrior out to uncover the truth about his destiny. You and your sister are out monster hunting when your ship runs aground on a mysterious floating island. The locals kidnap the girl,
Quit your whining.
staking her for a mystical entity referred to in an ancient prophecy.
So, she's come.
It's up to you and a crew of wacky yet lovable anime characters to save her from the requisite deep-voiced bad guy. It doesn't help that your lead character isn't too bright.
We're standing on a giant ship, a remnant of an ancient civilization. A ship. Wait, a ship?
Fortunately, the battle system is fast and furious.
Watch your backs, they're behind us.
Like the other Tales games, Legendia allows you to control your characters in real time as you fight. The game features special moves that allow you to slow down time and rack up big combos with your teammates.
We win!
Unfortunately, it doesn't let you play cooperatively with real-life friends, which was the highlight of Tales of Symphonia.
Shadow Rush!
The only other downside is that each fighter repeats their catchphrases way too often. If there was ever an award for best accidental groping scene in a video game, this would have to get a nomination.
Hey, don't touch me there, you perv!
Speaking of awkward moments, there's simply no explaining this incredibly long musical number from a pair of chatty otters. Huh, I wonder what happens if we play it backwards.
Bring us the blood of 15 newborn dwarves.
Oh my!
Despite the obvious problems, we really enjoyed the world of this tale. The graphics are nice looking, and we dig the creative design of the bad guys.
Don't let its mucus touch you.
Ew. And we have to admit, despite the cliche plot and ridiculous characters, we were genuinely curious about what happened next. We actually wish we could score this one higher, but thanks to obnoxious voice acting and predictable storytelling, Tales of Legendia scores a 3.
Don't let its mucus touch you.
Out of 5.
Oh, well.
It just needs a little magic. I don't have any.
What you need to believe in is...
This is all necessary.
Well, what's all this useless junk?
That's the useless junk for scene 28.
Oh, well, how do you explain that? A second Krusty Krab?
Mr. Krabs, everyone needs an understudy.
Well...
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. In fact, I'm kind of freaking out about it.
Get a clue.
All necessary.
Well, what's all this useless junk?
That's the useless junk for scene 28.
Oh, well, how do you explain that? A second Krusty Krab?
Mr. Krabs, everyone needs an understudy.
Well...
Camp Driftwood.
Time to give them a summer they'll never forget.
Is just beginning.
They won't forget that.
See the movie that's fun entertainment families will enjoy.
What else could go wrong? No, please.
We're gonna need more toilet paper.
Daddy Day Camp.
This here's a game for all the fellas. Try to do what that exploit tells us. Get so sad 'cause...
Necessary.
Well, what's all this useless junk?
That's the useless junk for scene 28.
Oh, well, how do you explain that? A second Krusty Krab?
Mr. Krabs, everyone needs an understudy.
Well...
For a sight to be seen. There's no frustration in the DS Nation. Just stay in the game like wise Perry Mason. Nothing's complicated. You may never lose. It's that kind of game. It's bust a move. In the city, gamers are busy. There's just no time for a long game tizzy. That's why this game has something to say about how long or short you want to play. Different mazes, different phases, almost as fun as yearly raises. There's a nice choice of modes with something to prove. It's got what you need. It's bust a move. Your best friend Adam, don't call him Adam, likes puzzle games like a young John Badham. This game's got more soul than that guy John Mayer. If you got friends, you've got multiplayer. The characters and graphics give off a funky jive. That's why we give this game a 4 out of 5. Someday, I swear, I'll visit the Louvre, but until then, I'll just
Bust a move.
Why don't we all just politely ignore the fact that Adam attempted to wrap that last review?
Thanks, guys.
Really though, Adam, what were you thinking?
Thought we weren't going to talk about it. No.
In a moment, Sonic is back. Order's been lifted. It's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Welcome back to X-Play.
Once, a political party in New Zealand attempted to get a hedgehog elected to Parliament, primarily as an opportunity to make prick jokes.
In addition to their growing political influence, hedgehogs have also made a significant impact on culture.
None more so than Sega stalwart Sonic, whose fast-paced antics have been thrilling America since Night Court was on the air.
Here's our review of Sonic's newest hoverboarding adventure, Sonic Riders. As a surfer buddy of mine used to say, if you surf, surf forever. If you don't surf, don't start. What an ass. Apparently Sonic and his friends over at Sega never heard this sentiment. And while technically they ride hoverboards, I know you're all wondering if they shred air like Jessica Alba and Paul Walker, or will they be smashed into pulp like Patrick Swayze? Whether you like it or not, you'll find out in Sonic Riders. The evil Robotnik, who is apparently using his maiden name, Dr. Eggman, has set up a racing tournament that charges its entry fee in Chaos Emeralds.
I call it the X-World Grand Prix.
Then, when racers from all over the world ante up, they'll be beaten by Eggman's high-tech, all-avian team of extreme gear experts, thus winning him the emeralds fairly and squarely, and giving Sega the opportunity to sell a racing game. There's no way it can fail. This guy is the worst mastermind ever. The tracks our Care Bear-colored heroes race on are complicated and eye-bleedingly vibrant. Obstacles, jumps, boosts, and flying centipedes abound. It sounds easy enough, until you try riding a surfboard that handles like a '58 Buick with Michelle Rodriguez behind the wheel and the pedal on the floor. Though the gameplay may be frustrating at times, the intensity and speed is pure Sonic. The unique track designs bleed into one big smear of panic, joy, rage, and bugs in your teeth. And all the characters look like badasses doing it, except Tails. Tails sucks.
Oh.
Your board gradually loses air as you scream down the track. Charge it with power-ups, pit stops, and completing 6 tricks Tony Hawk style. If you let your energy get too low, you'll be walking. I'm not kidding. You can draft along behind boosting characters, and there are shortcuts as well if you can ever find them in the blur of everything being so exciting. And Sega has finally discovered the truth about the fall of Babylon.
Supposedly, the Babylonians were then scattered for all time. There are also rumors that the Babylon rogues were extreme gear specialists.
Nice. There are a few other modes that may occupy 3 minutes of your time, the battle modes and time challenges. But what really saves Sonic Riders from the Sega boneyard is the multiplayer. The split-screen multiplayer soars where the story mode can't get off the ground. The joy of kicking the feathered buttocks of your buddies covers a multitude of sins, because it's just fun. Enough said. There's enough energy in this title for Sonic's endless summer to go on for just a little longer. But Sonic Riders still hasn't caught that perfect wave. A 3 out of 5.
I'm getting too old for this.
When are we going to achieve hoverboard technology?
I'm still waiting for the damn eugenics war Star Trek promised me would show up in the 90s.
The Back to the Future films clearly promised hoverboard technology by 2015. The clock is ticking, scientists.
Even worse, the Back to the Future films implied that the Slice brand of citrus soft drinks would still be around into the next decade.
Slice was actually kind of nasty.
It doesn't excuse the problem. I relied on the film's vision of the future, and now Robert Zemeckis owes me money for my pain and anguish.
Don't you think it'd just be easier to, sue him over Gothica?
Maybe we should just give up and move along to viewer mail.
All right.
Today's mail comes from B. White Dragon 2004. He writes, Dear X-Play, I am a very big Dragon fanatic, but especially after the review of Dragon Booster, I begin to believe that there will never be a really good Dragon game. The best game with dragons is Panzer Dragoon Orta. Are there any other dragon games that you liked?
Are you one of those guys who's into dragons?
Like, really into dragons? Like you write erotic fan fiction about mating in the skies with a dragon version of Jenna Von Oy?
If so, we're cool with that.
Yeah, Big Love on HBO has made us much more liberal in our view of healthy relationships.
And to answer your question, Panzer Dragoon Orta really is the best dragon game on a current-gen console.
But if you're looking for other quality dragon titles, well, your options are limited.
There's Panzer Dragoon Saga, but that's an old Sega Saturn game that's pretty hard to find.
How hard to find? Well, English language copies of the game regularly sell for about $200 in online auctions.
So, you know, we're giving you good if useless advice.
And that's what X-Play's all about. And don't forget about Lair. It's very exciting. It's a game from the guys at Factor 5. They've yet to make a bad game. It's about dragons. We've only seen about 10 seconds of the clip.
But it's dragons fighting dragons, kind of like, you know, ships fought ships. It's for the PS3.
Yes.
Yeah. And PS3 comes out in November, and it'll come out then or after that. So don't hold your breath, because you might die.
But we'll see them eventually.
Yeah.
Ah, ah.
Great.